do have some reacting to do, ladies and gentlemen. I made a Twitter thread that wasn't even intended to be a Twitter thread. I just asked myself a question, and I was like, let me ask Twitter because I don't know the answer to this one. So I tweeted the following. I'm looking for a card which has a positive cost. I don't mean cards that send from deck to grave for cost. I mean cards whose cost is a direct advantage gain. Think gaining life points or drawing cards and stuff like that. Pretty sure this doesn't exist, but can the Hive Mind find any? I thought it was perfectly clear what I was asking for here. This spawned from me having a discussion with someone about there being no cards in the game that destroy for cost. What if you could like destroy for cost, like a babysitter source or something, right? No amount of like Ash Blossom or whatever, things like that, can prevent you from still getting the destruction off. Because that's the whole thing with a cost in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is costs happen before you pass priority to your opponent. I'm asking, is there a card that has a cost that is an inherent net positive, period? Technically, foolishing a card from deck to grave does not net you any amount of gain unless the card you're foolishing then also gets an effect, which is beyond the scope of the question. And I think most people didn't understand that just saying, no coder, there are no cards that do this, was an acceptable response. I don't think people understood that. Because, dude, we're going to go through this thread. I'm telling you, I got like 200, 300 comments on this thing, dude. And what blew my mind is so many people responded with cards that do not have a cost. Farfa said, well, send from deck is easily one of the best costs. Why does that not count? Anyway, Dante Mill 3 is arguably the best part of the card and not the attack gain, but I suppose milling still comes under sending from deck for cost technically, which I said, I agree that sending from deck for cost is probably the best type of cost we have in the game, but technically it doesn't inherently yield an advantage per se. I'm mostly looking into what type of things are never cost, like no card destroys for cost, etc., and got curious. I just wanted to know, is there a card that does this? This person goes, Borderland Dragon. Due to the way Borderland Dragon's effect is worded, the effect to target and negate a monster effect operates as the cost for summoning back a rocket from grave. To me, this constitutes a positive cost. Allow us to read Borderland. Quick effect, you can target one effect monster on the field and one rocket monster in your graveyard, semicolon. As we all know, chat, targeting is not a cost. This card doesn't have a cost. Incorrect answer, loud incorrect buzzer. This card doesn't have a cost. Shadal Fusion. Fusion summon a Shadal Fusion monster from your extra deck using monster from your hand or field as fusion material. This is an effect. This does not have a cost. Shadal Fusion doesn't have a cost. Pot of Desires for Gredmaju. So I don't hate this answer, but the problem with this is that it's beyond the scope of the question. The question was, is there a card that has a positive cost? And you cannot tell me Pot of Desires banishing 10 cards face down from your deck is a positive cost. Yes, you can circumvent it based upon the deck that you're playing, which, in fairness, is a thing. I get that. Like Extrizial or whatever, sending from the extra deck to the grave to summon your guy is hardly a negative because you're sending a guy that has a positive effect and stuff like that. At that point, it becomes a combo, not a card whose cost is directly positive. Favorite Contact shuffles materials back into the deck from anywhere that isn't from hand. Favorite Contact does not shuffle for cost. So this is the one that came up a lot. And I like this answer. This answer is cool. Lair of Darkness and Con make it so that cards have a positive cost. You get to tribute your opponent's monsters in order to activate your cards. To some extent, yes, this is a combo, but this is still a lot closer to what I was looking for than like something like I'm going to Pot of Desires banish 10, and then I'm going to normal Gredmaju and he'll have 4,000 attack. Imseti grabs King Sark, draws you a card, then summons itself for a net +1. I said Imseti's cost is a discard, a net negative. I can't spell. Everyone knows at this point. Imseti's cost is discard itself and another card. It is a -1. -2 technically if it doesn't, you know, successfully add. Flower Gathering, summon 4 from deck. Flower Gathering does not have a cost. I play Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't read. Jar and Pot of Avarice, especially in decks that can quickly fill the grave with extra deck monsters. To which I say, Jar and Pot of Avarice do not have a cost. All the card does at activation is target 5 cards in your grave, which is also not a cost. World Legacy Pawns, you can shuffle 1 crawler monster from your graveyard into the main deck, then target a face-up monster you control. I don't hate this. This is actually a decent answer. Cards that shuffle back or add themselves back to hand for cost, in my opinion, is something that can be considered a positive cost because it's recycling. Ritual Seravis, bouncing itself back from field to hand, I think can be viewed as a positive cost because that's resource recycling. And another one that was brought up a lot is Infernoble Knight Mogus, because Mogus shuffles back your Noble Knights into the deck or your equip spells into the deck for cost. So I think a recycling cost is an interesting way to look at it, and I don't hate it. Allure of Darkness in a Malice deck, draw 2 plus a body on field. Allure does not have a cost. The cost for the graveyard effects of these zombie cards: recycle banished zombies. If you read Haunted Zombies and Return of the Zombies, they both say if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle one of your banished zombie monsters into the deck, and if you do, not a cost. This is all effect. Time Thief Redoer, best I can think of. Chat, can anyone tell me the cost of Time Thief Redoer? I'm waiting. If you said it doesn't have a cost, you would be correct. Redoer, in fact, does not have a cost. These two have the potential to be a +3. Can anyone tell me the cost on Sunseed Genius Loci? The cost of Loci is to plant it, right? You plant it. None of these cards have a cost. None of this is a cost. What did they answer? This is the coolest thing I can think. Sorry. By the way, Soul Taker. Can anyone find the cost on this card? Coder, it targets. It targets. That's not a cost. It's not a cost. Can anyone tell me the cost on Upstart? It doesn't have a cost. Draw 1. Your opponent gains 1,000. It doesn't have cost. For Virtual Worlds, the cost of summoning is a positive cost. Virtual World monsters do not send anything as cost. I need to find this guy. So this guy said, in writing, this looks like a -1. In practice, it is a +1. Dark Order says, add a Dark World monster from deck to hand, then discard 1 card. Again, not a cost. However, we argued here. I argued with this individual. I said, this card does not have a cost. And they said, if you go by the mechanical definition of cost before semicolon, sure, but it feels like splitting hairs. Motherfucker, the whole point of the question was, is there a card with a positive cost? That's the whole question I'm asking. That was the point. This guy says, stop splitting hairs. Cost and effect have mechanical differences. If this card is discarded for cost, it would not trigger Dark World effects, which is true. NecroDancer was very funny because he goes, does this count? And the only cost on NecroDancer is tributing itself, a net negative. So not an answer that I needed. Pre-prep is a +1. Locate the cost, chat. Where cost? I can't find it. It's funny because so many people answered, bro, pre-prep has no cost. The +1 is an effect. Where is the cost? Where cost? Neither of these cards have a cost. Mathmech Edition also doesn't have a cost. Send from deck is the best cost. It's literally why Tearlaments are so good. They take anything with a mill cost and plus off it. To which I say Tearlaments don't trigger if sent to the grave as cost. What? Someone even hit me, right? So they went Upstart and Earthbird specifically. I said actual good answer. And this person hit me with the Upstart does not have a cost. And I'm like, you're correct. That is true. I wish people understood that saying no coder, there is no card that does this is like a perfectly acceptable answer. Just tell me there is no card that does that. Snake Rain would be cost positive if it wasn't because reptiles are worthless. Snake Rain's only cost is to discard 1 card. That is a net negative. This guy says, if you have a ritual spell in your grave, where cost? Where is it? I think the only ones that I actually like agree with are specifically cards that like give you back resources for cost. Someone gave me Rush Duel cards. I didn't even read them. Yeah, Infernoble Knight Mogus reshuffles 3 cards as cost to draw 1. So reshuffling here is giving you back resources for free. So many people were retweeting this thread, literally saying, oh my god, this thread is just proving that people do not play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think the funniest thing is so many people were saying, Coder, you should make a video explaining costs. To which I said, bitch, I fucking did. PSCT and missing timing. In this video, I go over cost. I go over everything that's before the semicolon. I literally did. It's just watch the video. Learn about the game, please. It's insane. Cherubini was one that was brought up a lot because it sends from deck to grave. Okay, let me ask this question. Would you consider that Cherubini is a net positive if the level 3 monster you're sending from the deck to the grave is some vanilla that has 0 attack, 0 defense, no name, it doesn't do anything? You probably wouldn't. You wouldn't consider it a net positive. You would not. You only consider it a net positive because of the things that you can dump off it are good. You're deck thinning a garbage card. I mean, bro, Yu-Gi-Oh! Ends in 2 turns anyway. You were never seeing that card if it's in your deck. Cards of Consonance. Discard 1 Dragon Tuner monster with 1,000 or less attack. Would you consider discarding a card a positive? I wouldn't think so. People were giving me the Val Monica cards, which, first off, screenshot from TCG player. But secondly, Doesn't have cost. Both of these, they gain life and take damage for effect, not cost. Birdman's an interesting one. Bounce from field to hand can be advantageous. I think if this could bounce like back row, I think that'd be really cool. Max Metal Morph. I don't think this has a cost other than tribute a face-up monster. Me love when card says tribute a face-up monster as an advantage. Someone said Madolche Promenade, a card who doesn't have a cost. It just targets a card on the field and Madolche in your grave. Makonko Fire Dance. Pretty sure this doesn't have any cost. Special summon a Makonko monster from hand or grave it if you do it with this card, not cost. Why are we... What? This comment section just proves Konami has their balancing in check. That's true. There's no card. Good answer. Good answer. Someone said there's no card. My first guess was this, but I realized that it's not what you were looking for. There's no card that does this. Thank you, Twitter person. Thank you. I would VIP you in my chat, Mr. S. Crojack. I would VIP you. They don't even follow me. Cringe. Cringe. 1 day a piece doesn't have a cost. I believe this one either also doesn't. It just adds a guide. Doesn't have a cost. Awesome. Fiendsmith Engraver, shuffle when someone back to deck for cost, which would in theory be a positive effect. I think it is. The best part of the grave effect of Fiendsmith Engraver is that it recycles your extra deck, which is really good. A lot of Birdmans. Saravis was a great one. I think Saravis was a fantastic one, actually. Wait, this guy had my stream up. Wait, did you just post this? You're posting this as I'm live. You have my stream up. You just put this in here. Correct. Saravis is a good example of this. This answer was very interesting because this is what chat was saying. I know you said no cards that send from deck to grave, but hear me out. There is no benefit to having a level 4 or higher above level 4 normal monster in your deck. So sending it from deck to grave to use this guy is getting taking out a brick from your deck. I guess you can argue it, dude. You can argue that. I guess. Ambrosia. Fantastic answer. The problem with Ambrosia doesn't have a cost. This card does not have a cost. Allure of Darkness, no cost. Sacred Sword of 7 stars. The cost is a -1. Evil Eye Unleashed, the cost is to send 2 from deck to grave. So technically not what I was looking for. At least it has a fucking cost. The question is inherently flawed. Positive cost doesn't really make sense by definition. That was the point of the question. That's the point of the question. Is there a card that breaks the game rules? And if there is none, just say that. Guess it would be tier limits. They shuffle back themselves for cost. They do not. They shuffle themselves for effect. Thank you, Big Ladle. We've established at the end of all of this, the only cards that have a net positive cost are cards that recycle stuff for cost, such as shuffling back into the deck, back to the extra deck, and stuff like that. And with a little bit of extra steps, Rikka and Lair of Darkness with like cards that contribute your opponent's shit. That is it. That's all of them. Thank God we've established this and that we can get to the bottom of it. There is no answer. VIP, please. And you're watching my stream. Good answer. Good answer. Yes. Good answer. Am I at the end of the... We went through all of them. No card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a direct advantage gain for cost. None. That being said, go watch my video on PSCT. A lot of you guys need to learn what the fuck a cost is. Please, learn what a cost is. I'm begging. It's just kind of insane how many people... Like, I ask for cards with a positive cost, and the amount of people that give me a card that just doesn't have a fucking cost. For the love of God, can we just, like, describe cards with a cost, please? Please, man. Please. Okay, yes, it's not a cost. Why are you answering then? Don't answer.